All right, welcome into Yard Prep here on the Five Reasons YouTube channel. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and turn the notifications on. That's how you know when all of our shows are coming. For instance, there's a Kane show tonight. Our guys Vish, Jazz, Danny, they'll be on at 8:30 tonight. So make sure that you check that out. If you gave up on the Dolphins after about the first 7 minutes, you can come over and watch a Kane show. Also, the new Heat content is up here as well. All right, I'm Ethan. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick at Five Reasons Sports. I'm going to try it again, Eric. No, I'm not going to try. I'm going to get it wrong.
It's all
I'm
good.
Get it wrong.
It's all good.
Okay, I've been saying Wadicki here now for 3 years, right?
Yep.
Wiedeka.
There you go.
It's not even phonetic. Anyway, I'm sorry. It's all good. I'm bad enough with names to begin with. All right, we got Eric Smith. That's easy. Thank you, Eric. And we got Louis Sung. You can follow him at Louis D Sung on Twitter. Of course, you can follow Eric, the other Eric Smith at OL Coach Smith 63 on Twitter. All right, so the Dolphins are in Los Angeles tonight. They are 2-6 on the season. Let's go. Louis? You want to turn it over to you, and I'll mention Prize Picks here, and then we'll go to Prize Picks. Use the code 5. Here's the deal: legal in the state of Florida. Put down $5, you get 50 to play. It's that simple. Put down 5, play it. You got to play it, and then you get 50 to play for more. And so you can play across the sports: NHL, NBA, NFL, MMA. When MLB comes back, PGA, tennis. It's all there. PrizePicks.com. Download it from the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store, or just get it from prizepicks.com. Put down your 5 and play. Also, check out the episode of Prop 5 that I just did with David Eversole. We made some of our picks. We'll make more here. And also, our guy Major Passons is on there 3 times a week doing major money. All right, Louis, let's get to this. Who is inactive and who is that is significant? And who is and again, there's been some benchings too. So let's talk about that. What is going to look a little bit different from the Dolphins starters tonight?
Well, based on what we're seeing here, obviously the usual suspects. Jeff Wilson will not be active. Mo Camara, D. Eskridge is actually. It was interesting because I thought that there was word that he actually would be traveling with the team and he would actually be making it. It looks like that is no longer the case. An interesting name that's on this list: Alec Ingold is actually not going to be active for this game, and considering how big of an impact he has for the offense, that could be a serious problem for Miami. So. Now we have an interesting situation here where not only are we down someone like an Alec Ingold, not only are we down Storm Duck, not only are we down another wide receiver in D. Eskridge, Tyreek Hill obviously is dealing with his injury situations. It looks like both of his wrists are being taped up. Apparently he has a torn ligament in one of his wrists, and he is playing through it. So give kudos to the guy for being tough, but it's once again just the usual issue with Miami is that we're snake bit when it comes to these injuries. Like everybody is always hurt all the time, and there seems to be no way around it. Even like in Kansas City, I don't remember Tyreek being so fragile. Now all of a sudden he shows up in Miami, and every year he's dealing with something. So maybe I have selective amnesia, but I don't remember it being the case back when he was in Kansas City. And now obviously we don't have Alec Ingold. He's crucial to how this offense functions. Now we are getting River Craycraft back, so that maybe that will take over some of the blocking responsibilities here. I don't know if that's going to work out the way that we're hoping, but I don't remember there being any indication that Alec Ingold would not be playing. Maybe I haven't been paying attention to.
Did either of you guys? Let me jump in. Did either of you guys hear anything related to that? Because I was stunned to see that one. I mean, I knew David Long got benched. I know. I mean, if you follow the team this week, I go to Eric Smith on this. Like, how does this change the dynamic for them? Because they got Julian Hill back, right? So now they do have another player in the run game back. But do you think that this will push Mike back to his instincts to throw the ball around the lot?
Yeah, I think that not having Ingold is huge. I put a tweet out earlier about the number of outside zones that the Dolphins have run. I think the total number was around 89 times this season that they've run outside zone. And on 41 of those, Ingold was your lead blocker on that. So, you're taking, the core concept of this offense in outside zone, and you're taking away a player that has been a key part of that run in almost half of those plays or over half of those plays. And, that's going to be a big impact. And I'd be really interested to see whether it is just a direct replacement with Tanner Connor getting some fullback snaps, or whether they, use a Durham Smythe or Julian Hill in that role. But between the loss of Austin Jackson and the loss of Alec Ingold, I do think that McDaniel will struggle to stick with the run game if it's not successful early.
Yeah, Eric, I'll go to Eric W. up at the top here. We've talked about this so much. Will he stay with a run? How is he going to complement Tua when Tua comes back? We've seen them put up 27 points in each of the past 2 games. So, I mean, they've moved the ball since Tua's been back, and he only had, 3 incompletions last game. Do you think that gives Mike the license to just say, okay, we've got Hill for as long as we've got him? Waddle, I was looking at Waddle's numbers today. My God, seriously. I mean, there's a 45.5 prize pick on Waddle tonight, and you can't play that over. You cannot play that over right now. How does he approach this tonight?
I think a lot of what we saw against Buffalo last week was Buffalo specific in terms of what they do especially well against the Dolphins. I think against the Rams, their secondary is a little bit more suspect. So I would imagine you see a little bit more of that downfield passing game out of Miami. Obviously, their bread and butter over the last 4 or 5 games has been the run game, and I still expect it to be that way. Even with the loss of Austin Jackson, you're replacing him with Kendall Lamb, who's solid. He's fine as a backup tackle there. And then with Alec Ingold, I think, you definitely miss something with Julian Hill and Durham Smythe taking that role, but I don't think it's enough to where you say the running game is just going to go in the trash here.
Louis, what you saw of Tua last week, is there anything different you want to see from him this week?
No, I mean, if he continues to play the way he played against Buffalo, we said it, and we were on the record saying it during Pulse, during Final Yard. He did everything you literally could have asked for of a quarterback. The only thing he did not do was be Josh Allen and be a physical freak of nature, which he literally cannot. He cannot grow 6 more inches. He cannot gain 30 more pounds of muscle. It's just not in his. It's just not in his framework. He can't do that. So he literally did everything you could have asked him to do. It frustrates me when I see people saying that Tua is just not good enough to beat Buffalo. When he puts together a performance like that, what you're basically saying is that in order to beat Buffalo, Miami literally has to make 0 mistakes. It cannot, every single drive, you have to score a touchdown or you lose. And other teams don't have that problem. Once we start getting into, only with Miami, that's a problem. That's when we have to start getting into the Tequesta talk, and that just removes all agency from the team. And it's just there's no hope. We might as well stop talking about it.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole. I mean that's the whole thing, Eric. I'm going to Eric. Let's go to Smith. We'll go by last names. Is that last week again? He put them in position to win, but there are just little mistakes that this team makes all the time that undercut them, no matter what the circumstances are. I mean, he put them in position to win the Arizona game too, and obviously that fell apart here. Here's my biggest concern. I've watched this team now play in prime time for the last however many years. I can't remember many wins the past few years. I don't know what to make of that because I know Mike was not the head coach for all of it. Gase was 0 of 6 in primetime games, I think, or something along those lines. They don't tend to show up when the lights are bright. And I don't know what to make of that in light of them talking about running the table, and I'm I want to see you win one primetime game, Eric. How do you think they come out?
I mean, you're going to have to come out and try to run the ball early. I think if you come out and you are trying to throw the ball from the beginning, then it sets you up into those situations where one mistake, a turnover, something like that, really puts you behind the chains. So I think they're going to have to try to stick with the identity that they've built over the last few weeks offensively. I mean, they've been very successful offensively over the past few weeks. Like you talked about, Tua being able to, put them in position to win. If they want to come out with a win tonight, I think we're going to have to get more from the defense, and that's hard to say because the defense has been pretty beat up health-wise. They're getting a little bit back this week between Sealer and Holland playing. So hopefully we can get a big time sack from Sealer or an interception from Holland, something like that turns the table, because last week it just felt like the offense continued to put points on the board, but we could just never get a stop defensively to fully flip that momentum Miami's way.
Yeah, I mean, the other Eric on this one, because I think a good point is made here. The defense has had moments this year, but they have struggled to make the game-changing play. And Van Ginkel's made a lot of those plays in Minnesota, and I'm looking right. Phillips is a guy who can make them for this team. He's not there anymore. Chubb, they mismanaged that at the end of last year, so we haven't seen him. X, for what it's worth, and he wasn't worth much by the end, but he made a lot of those plays for the Dolphins over the years. And I'm just looking at their roster and I'm saying, okay, other than Ramsey, like who is going to make that play that's going to flip the field position in this game? Because, again, we know that the Dolphins don't do a lot of flipping of the field position with their return team, they don't. So who's going to do it on defense?
I mean, if you had to name anybody, it's got to be Zach Sealer. I mean, he's been the guy, other than Jalen Ramsey this year, that when there has been a play made, it's been him. And even to a lesser extent, maybe Calais Campbell is in on a sack or something like that. It's got to be those two guys on the inside because, unfortunately, as much as I think Chop is improving, you can't count on him for consistent pressure off the edge. And they got to get more out of Javon Holland. We came into this year thinking that they were going to have to pay him. And he is looking like a guy that they're going to let walk and not think twice about it at the moment.
Because he's trying so hard to get paid that he's freelancing.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Let's talk about that. And I want to get to the prize picks here in a second and get to the picks. But they had decisions to make about extensions before the season, right? And it feels like it backfired on them both ways. Like it backfired, they gave the extension, Hill, Waddle, whatever, and like they're not getting production that we expected them to get. I know some of that was Tua being out, but like Waddle's had a bad year. Like there's just no way around it. Like these are not even good number 2 wide receiver numbers. We were talking about him as de facto number 1 on most teams. And then you look at Holland, they didn't give it to him, and it looks like he's pressing. So I don't I don't know what the best approach is for this, but it just doesn't seem like they haven't gotten much out of a lot of these guys. And we're talking about Calais Campbell at almost my age. Like you're counting on him to make a play tonight. I mean, what are we doing here? I think it's tough sledding there. All right, let's get to some of the prize picks. I just want to get you guys. We'll just wrap around here real quick. All right, so we'll do this rapid fire. Lewis, Tua, 247.5 passing yards. Oh, you're on mute.
I was going to say that I'm going to say over on that just because I foresee him having to throw the ball a lot. And once you have to start throwing more, you're going to end up getting more yards by default. It may be garbage time yards, but so be it.
Devon Achane, Eric Smith, 58.5 rush yards.
I would say over on that. He's not going to put Jalen Wright in there. And, most just put the ball on the ground 2 times in a row. So, probably going to look to feed Achane and go over that number.
Would you, Eric W., would you prefer his receiving? He's at 98.5 rushing and receiving yards, 6.5 receiving targets, 44.5
his rushing and receiving is only 98.5?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the number. That's the number for me.
Okay.
I would go on that.
Okay. I tend to agree with you on that. Mostert, I don't know what you play here. 30.5 rushing yards, 7.5 receiving yards. Lewis, did you play anything with him?
With Mostert, I'm willing to do the rushing yards because I even though he's fumbled, I sincerely doubt they're going to completely bench him. He's going to get back out there. He's going to get his chances. Now, again, this is where the Alec Ingold question comes in. How much of Miami's rushing success comes down to Alec Ingold? And that lead blocker, man, like he is a bulldozer. There's a reason they gave him an extension. So I don't know how effective that either Mostert or Achane, for that matter, is going to be without Ingold there to lead the way. So I would still run the Mostert one just because he's going to get his carries, but I would not immediately say bank that money and say that you're good to go. If that
Jalen Waddle, this number is gross. 42.5 receiving yards. He's literally hit that twice. I don't know. I'd play it under until I see something else. The 3.5 receptions I might play over. I kind of feel like there'll be some using him as a release valve at times. Geno Smith is interesting to me here too at 3.5 receptions. But let's get to Hill real quick. They got everything on the board. They got Craycraft on the board. They have everything on the board tonight. Hill,
you know who I would play? You said Craycraft. You said Craycraft was on there.
Yeah. He's on there.
Oh, but only for touchdowns though.
Only for half a receiving touchdown. I wouldn't play that. That's if you really if you really want to juice it. Okay, Tyreek 75.5 receiving yards. With two bad risks. No? Shaking your head. They had this number at 98.5 at the end of last season. And we were like, that's too low.
But that was when the offense was firing on all cylinders. And now, right now, we're in a situation where we're still questioning whether or not it can actually get back to that point. Really, this all boils down to, again, Mike McDaniel. The team is off to such a bad start that you just don't have any faith in them.
No, I'm with you, and we'll get to the picks here in a second. All right, the receiver position, I don't know what to do because I feel like one of them is going to go off, but they keep switching off who goes off. It's like one goes over 100, the other one's at 20 yards, the other one goes over 100. I would play Cooper Kupp. I don't know who Jalen Ramsey's going to trail. That's kind of where I'm at with it, or if he's going to at all. But both their receiving yards. So let's just go to Stafford here. Stafford's at 256.5 passing yards. Over-unders.
I feel like I'd go over on that.
I'd go over on that too.
Also.
Yeah, me too. And Kyron Williams, I went under on 85.5 rushing yards. A lot of running backs don't tend to eat that much. Right, that's my whole thing. So I would play that under. And we talked about a couple on the other side. So that's the A-Chain one. That's a pretty good card you filled out there. I like that one. So that's they rate.
A-Jan's just jumped.
Just you just missed it. Just flipped. just flipped.
Do you well now we have a new number, 101.5. Do we still feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah.
I do. What was it? 99.5? They pushed it up 2 yards just to scare us away.
98.5, yeah.
It was like 104 this afternoon.
Yeah. All right, Eric Smith, you start. Let's get the picks before we go here. What do you think tonight?
I mean, before the injuries, I felt like if this was a game at home, as crazy as it sounds, I felt like this was a game that had a lot of matchups that went in Miami's favor. I felt like if it was at home, we could be talking about a multiple score win, as crazy as that sounds. So, going on the road, going to the West Coast is always tough. So I saw it as a closer game. With the injuries, I guess I'm going to go with, probably a similar score to last week with the Dolphins coming up short.
Lewis?
I'm going to say the same thing. I don't think Miami – I want to have faith, but I just don't anymore. I just don't think they're going to come – I don't think they're going to win. I really don't. I think that Tua will still have a good game. It may not be quite as flawless as it was against Buffalo because, again, that Alec Ingold thing, man, like he has more of an impact on that offense than anyone is willing to admit. So I feel like without Ingold, this offense, again – you're missing another piece that's so crucial, and we all know that McDaniel struggles to adapt when a piece goes missing very suddenly, and this was very sudden. He played last week. He apparently is dealing with a calf injury. He was limited all week, according to the reports that I just read. So I don't think that he's gonna like Julian Hill and Durham Smythe cannot replace Alec Ingold. They just can't. So I'm gonna say that the Rams end up coming out on top. I think that it's going to come up to like 27-24, and the Rams are going to win it.
Mark?
Yeah, I got Rams 38-28. It's going to be like 31-28. Rams get a touchdown, put it away for good.
I'm with you. I'm right around that score. I think I'm going to say 37-24. I think it won't be quite as close. Maybe a late pull-away touchdown. And I'm just going based on this. I don't even need to look at matchups. I don't need to look at anything. Okay, obviously, Ingold being out hurts, but I'm traumatized. Like I've watched this team in primetime so many times. I've gone to watch parties in primetime. I've done the whole thing. They never win. I literally have to go back to like Brian Greasy in an orange uniform. Like that's the last time I can remember them winning. No, the Dallas game last year does not count. It was not. Was it the Dallas game? Don't say that one. Which one?
They
beat the Steelers a couple of years. Or was it?
Yeah, they did. I remember the Titans beating them like 40. We had a watch party very early in the network, and just so many that I can't. And by the way, Tua always gets hurt in these games.
Yes.
Didn't he get hurt in the Cincinnati game? Right, he got hurt in the other one. It's I don't know. They don't give us a good viewing experience in these situations. And if they don't, we're going to have a lot of questions because then at that point you're 2-7. Like you can't pretend anymore. What CK is saying is what's going to happen is guys, minor injuries, you're going to see him going on IR. Like that's the way that these things play out. All right. We appreciate though, Eric, and Lewis, as we always do. Catch us for the post-game show as well. Be back around later. Try to enjoy it. Have a good one, everybody. And again, hit like, subscribe, turn the notifications on, and use the code 5FIVE. Prize Picks.